Last week's Inside Star Citizen followed up with Star Citizen Live was unbelievable. It has continued to reaffirm this hopium that I think hopefully you guys are sharing along the way as we move towards 3.23, this patch that is going to be bringing in so very much. So hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm Brian, your third favorite balding ginger on the internet, and we're today going to be reacting to the newest Inside Star Citizen. I'm hoping that I can actually check out the Star Citizen Live while it's live, but sometimes work, you know, that's just the way it is. We gotta go to our work. This is for me, for anybody who's new and hasn't seen the content. I'm new to Star Citizen. I've been following this journey now pretty much since November, since CitizenCon, and I'm absolutely loving this game. I think both the community, but also what they're trying to achieve is just mind-blowing. Anyway, I don't want to make this intro longer than it needs to be. Let's go ahead and get started. And yeah, let's see what we're going to learn this week. And guys, if you enjoy this content, yeah, come hang out in the Discord. Like, top link in the description. I think we're a fun bunch. Up to you. All right, let's go. I've already pre-liked it. You can guys like, or you can always double tap that dislike button. It gets stuck from time to time, and that helps get it going. All right, let's go.
One of the major mandates of our evergreen programming is to highlight and explore the works of as many teams contributing to the creation of our universe as possible. And on this continuing road to Alpha 3.23, 4.0, and beyond, we periodically detour onto the proverbial side streets, if you would, and dedicate some time to those aspects you might not discover following the development of any other game. So on this week's show, I'm proud to highlight a team dedicated to bringing a creative flourish, visual consistency, and contextual meaning to the various companies, factions, and societies of the persistent universe, the branding team from CIG Montreal. Hell yeah, let's go.
I don't know what any of that means.
All right, where to start? I joined the team in January, about 2 years ago it was. I was coming in from an experience at another company where I had set up the first branding team for a video game, which was a really interesting experience. So when I heard about the opportunity to do it for Star Citizen and build a branding team for a project like that was something that is, you know, you don't want to pass up on. When I stepped into the first few months doing, you know, a bit of a due diligence, looking at the state of what we have in the game already in terms of branding, logos, the different manufacturers, and all the brands, the factions. 10 years worth of material being put into the game, often being done by, you know, different artists or different parties, and for different reasons also, you know. There was just a wide variety of styles. There would be a lot of like different interpretations for a single brand. And that was something that I noticed right away and I wanted to tackle as soon as I joined the team, is to try and bring a unifying vision, a bit more consistency to, you know, just help support the Star Citizen narrative, also to augment greatly in terms of immersion. And that was something that I noticed right away and I wanted to tackle as soon as I joined the team.
So fascinating. Expanding branding. Pyro? That looks like pyro.
In-game branding is not only about defining, like creating logos and nice posters and cute little signs. We get involved with character design, the ships, you know, creating the manufacturers for the ships. We touch marketing, we touch web. It's just such a wide range of different applications and topics that we go through.
I think it's as important as any other parts of the game.
It creates brand cohesion and a really good immersion for the player.
If it comes to, yeah, obviously like brands and logos, you know, if it's a ship, you know, make it look real professional, like it's a, you know, like in real life, like a fancy car company or something like that, you know.
Well, branding is an important part of the environment development. Developing the locations, I think it helps a lot with immersion. One of the things that we've tackled recently is some navigational signage for the landing zone. So, putting up maps, putting up signage, different assets that we add to the game to help the player understand his environment, understand the gameplay.
Like, as a new player, to jump in on that from just how it becomes second nature. I have, and if you ever hung out me on a live stream for Star Citizen, I might ask a question and then in-game look around and be like, oh, I need to go there. Like, the signage is so both immersive, but there's a level of intuitiveness because the game isn't necessarily waypointing me from A to B to C. And one of the things that you get with this approach is more immersion, not less, because if you guys have seen any of my previous content, I've been turning off like mini maps that are always on screen in games, because after playing Ghost of Tsushima, like, I was like, oh, I'm actually just always just looking at that mini map. I'm always just looking over here in the corner. I'm not actually really looking and experiencing the game. So UI and all of these things can really pull you out of the game, as opposed to just like bringing you into the game. And that's one of the things I think is immediately noticeable about Star Citizen, and it becomes just second nature, that even like as I ask questions out loud, because I'm perfectly fine with backseat driving on the streams, the game in and of itself is also able to answer that question. And the fact that they have this team that's just like really focusing in on it is fascinating. And it's cool that they're bringing in, oh man, it's just I can't praise it enough. Absolutely smashing.
Understand the locations, the story, the narrative.
It adds a visual component to the narrative to create a more impactful story. So you have the brand, like the narrative that people know, but then with the visuals, we can add an extra layer to it.
In Star Citizen, especially for the manufacturers, everything revolves around ships, and the manufacturers are very important in their core to the gameplay and the identity of the game. And I noticed that, a lot of these very important brands didn't have that unifying vision that we were looking for. So Marai was a new brand that we created, which was basically a performance division of MISC. So when you look at Marai, we start off with brand and positioning, the brand bio, so a history of the brand, basically. A little bit what they're about, a tagline. So this is where, we're collaborating with the narrative team to come up with these the information for this. And then that is the first, the starting point. That's all part of the brand style guide.
A style guide is for everyone to really get to understand the company. And you try to keep it simple, but you put all the elements you need, like the logos, the colors you're allowed to use, the typography that goes with that company, even shapes. Every company has colors. If the primary color is blue, let's say, you can't go out and do like branding for that company or make it like red, So we're all trying to like tie everything together to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Doing the jobs.
What's interesting about Drake is it was one of the first brands that I had to interact with when I joined the company. First thing I did was research a little bit about the brand and noticed that there was a lot of multiple versions and interpretations of the brand. That was the first one that we had to make a hard call on, what this brand is and how do we define it. So Drake, we wanted to bring it in a little bit closer to the essence of the brand. It's more, not the black sheep, but the outcast, if you will, in the manufacturers. So it's always tried to get in with the big boys at Fleet Week, but it's never managed, hence why they have their defense con a little bit on the side. So we wanted to tie into that and wanted to have that, not that evil vibe to it, but that, the outcast vibe, a little bit rebellious. So the black and red was an obvious choice. And it's something that we had already in the game for Defense Con, and I thought that worked better than anything else that we had previously produced.
Neat.
Same thing, we're looking at Crusader. We noticed that ships are using red and gray branding on the ships for Crusader. If you visit Horizon, there's a showroom that they have there that's completely all black and white. If you walk around the halls on Horizon, you notice there's some branding for Crusader that is blue and white. So we had, again, multiple interpretations of the same brand, and we wanted to unify that, bring it in a little bit more. So we started looking at the brand itself, what was interesting, what felt right with the essence that was, put forward by narrative and in the lore, and also, through the community. And we came up with the version of Crusader that we have now. So obviously touching these brands, 10 years in on a project, there's a lot of history on the game, meet some resistance, and, you got to be careful and how far you go into updating the brands, even if it's for the better. It's always good to respect, the work that's been done prior. But all in all, a very good experience so far, and I think we're making some good progress on a lot of these. In addition to making all the branding for you, for the players, we also make stuff for us. Working on tools as well. This one of the things that I noticed when I joined is we didn't have a proper channel to communicate to everyone freely and openly, and in a way that would, encourage the devs and everybody on the different various teams to actually use these tools, these style guides, and these resources that we're creating for them. So we came up with the idea of creating a brand catalog.
So the brand catalog is for in-house. So it's the documents that will be used for all the teams, where the whole of the information for all the manufacturer brands mostly will be found. And you will have downloadable links for all the assets. So everything will become super cohesive for in-house, and also when everything comes out in game and in marketing, everything will have the same, all the manufacturer brands will have the same look and feel.
So we, starting it off with the manufacturers, obviously, they are front and center, but it will grow into, all the rest of the brands that we see in the universe. Pyro
like
was,
music, man.
I think, is one of my favorite mandates we've done so far for the branding team. Not only because we're touching a specific aspect of branding that is not often talked about, also because we have the right team members to tackle this sort of mandate, and it was a lot of fun for it because the team was really excited about that.
Graffiti is another part of my background, which me and Max worked a lot on this aspect back in the days in our life. So we had a lot of fun building the graffiti structure. Each graffiti style were really existing graffiti style from all around the world, and we had to reproduce as much accurately possible the tags, throw-ups, murals, or any aspect of the realness of graffiti, which that was a lot of fun.
Basically, we drew all the graffiti, and we made their space look really grimy, and the signage, the relic signage, but lots of graffiti too, lots of faded, dirty layers and layers of stuff on the walls.
So it was really amazing to see how they took some visuals that existed that the environment team had created, and they came in and went over this with the different graffiti. So they really developed all the layers that you need for it to feel real.
That was something that, is very rich and is extremely fun to bring forward with the visuals and branding. And at that point, it's more than branding. It becomes like storytelling, basically, right? You're telling a story through all the elements that you're putting on the walls and in the environment that help sell the lore and, again, augment immersion and the experience for the player.
Burnin' Pyro.
Defining the factions that we found in Checkmate Station by the Rough and Ready was a lot of fun. Creating the identity of a faction, a gang, right? In space, in a derelict, abandoned station in the middle of nowhere.
I think you really get a vibe when you get there, when you enter the zone. Right away, it's Rough and Ready. They made the logo like a big sculpture, so I thought this was pretty cool from where it started to where it's at now. I think the graffiti and the sculpture does it mostly.
had the opportunity to work with the character team to define a little bit of the tattoos that go in line with the direction that we had, for the type of faction we wanted this gang to look like.
Wild.
I started the brainstorm around tattoos, which were all bring a bit of violence and of contrast on parts of the skins of the character design.
So we had specific references we had as targets and a special feel that we wanted to have for this gang, because there's not only one gang, there's multiple, and they all need to have, each their own unique identity.
There's a part of me who always wanted to be a tattoo artist, but I think this kind of work is a work of art by itself. So the character artists really managed to bring a lot of the visual identity we started from. All the polishing was really the character artist who managed a great job.
Well, to me, I think the branding side is often looked over, and I think we're building a team here to put an emphasis on the branding side. Every little things, the little graffiti and the logos and the signage, the navigational signage, everything. I think we're trying to push it a little further.
It's all about making one step closer to the real world, which we're surrounded every day by branding and either textures, typography, everything.
I think we're the cherry on top of the sundae. I think that branding makes the whole game feel more real. And I think this is where we can also develop this emotional connection to everything that you see in game and everything that the player uses, buys, and interacts with.
The opportunity to do graphic design and advertisement, fake advertisement within a game, so rich and deep as Star Citizen is. I don't know a graphic designer that wouldn't want to contribute or participate or be part of a team like this. There's so much variety. There's so much to do. The lore and the narrative is so rich. It's just a never-ending stream of opportunity to create really cool stuff.
So what did we learn this week? Well, hopefully we learned that branding is for more than just marketing uses. It's a tool and an artistry that can apply to many aspects of universe creation, including signage, personal identity, and maintaining a universe of internal consistency that doesn't break immersion. Now, don't forget that our Lunar New Year, Coramore, and the associated Freefly events all start today, so you can mosey on over to the robertspaceindustries.com website for details. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the process of game development with you, and we'll see you all here next week.
That was cool. That was really cool. Are you gonna do another tease at the end of it, like they did last week? Is that standard? Oh, nice shoot.
Da, 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 da,
Eco-Zila?
da, da, da.
Interesting.
Dun, 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 dun.
I'm betting those are inside jokes that it's just right over the head, guys. We're zoom. So if you know what that means, or if that's something interesting, please sound off in the comments. Or again, the Discord is open for you guys if you want to come hang out and play video games, because we do that a lot here. We play variety for those of you who might be new. I plan on bringing this Star Citizen reaction kind of coverage alongside as they make it, because this is both fun for me and hopefully you guys had fun as well. Next week, if you're watching this when this goes up, next week's podcast, actually we're having Salty Mike on to talk about Star Citizen as well. So as the chat said in the Discord, it goes full circle. So I hope you guys enjoy that. We do the podcast over at Work to Game. That's where you can find them if you want to watch it on YouTube, but we stream it also everywhere that you can find our content, and that's all in the top link of the description of the video. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks so much for spending some time with me today. Hopefully I will see you next time, but until then, take care.